Well, what we're seeing now is one of the downsides of the information age. If we go back, maybe 100 years, and they didn't even have radio. If you wanted to change people's opinions, you found a soapbox and you climbed up on it in a park someplace, and you got as many people as you could to come listen to you. And if you were lucky, that was more than 3 or 4 people. And even if you were lucky, maybe it was 100 people. But that's it. The effect that you could have was small. You just didn't have that big of an effect on people because there was no mass communications. And then we got radio and we got some mass communications going that we found they were effective. And then we got television, which even got more widespread and used more often with more hours a day. And that was pretty good, and mainly advertisers used it to try to change people's opinion from doing whatever they were doing to buying their products. So it was trying to convince people to buy products was really what supported that industry. And then we get to the internet. Whoa, everybody gets to talk to 1 million people, 100 million people, 1 billion people. All you have to say is something that grabs their attention. And if you can say something that grabs the attention, of even 100,000 people, wow, what an audience. That's not a soapbox on a corner someplace or in a park. That's leverage. That's power. Power that kings did not have. Power that governments did not have. And you're just an individual. So that's one of the big downsides of this information revolution. And how do you get people's attention? Just think of all the ways that you could get a lot of people to suddenly turn their heads and pay attention to you. Be negative. Say something scary. That's how you get people to pay attention to you. All right, all you people out there, you're about to die. This terrible thing is going to get you. These people are after you and they're going to ruin your life. You try to frighten people. That's how you get attention. If you go there and you say, oh, I had a wonderful day today with my children and my family, it was great. And nobody's going to pay attention to you. Everybody's going to turn to the next channel because that's not interesting. Part of this is just the way we are. We humans had to survive, and one of the ways that we evolved to survive, part of our instincts is when something scary is being talked about, we pay attention because that scary thing may get us. So if somebody says, you see that plant with those little blue flowers? Don't eat it. My cousin ate it and dropped dead. Well, that's news that you can use, and you don't want to not listen to that. So we have this preference on our instinctual level to gravitate and turn our heads and pay attention to anything that's negative, hurtful, harmful. So when somebody tells us about how other people are out to get us, we pay attention to that. So now you got anybody can talk to 100,000 people anytime they want to on any subject saying anything, and all of them need to do one thing, and that's get people's attention. Because until you get people's attention, nobody's listening to you. Well, using people's fear to get their attention has been a tool that's very old. That's mainly what the preachers and priests were doing, right? If you don't listen to me, you're all going to hell. You need to get people's attention by frightening them. And if you look at all the large organizations of people, you'll find that fear is the great motivator. If you know what people are afraid of, you can manipulate them. So you're trying to sell beer. You want people to buy your beer. What do? You show some guy who gets your beer And a whole bunch of pretty girls are all around him, and he's the star, and everybody thinks he's wonderful. And then the guy gets the other beer that's not yours, and he's all by himself, sad and dejected, sitting on the beach with his head between his legs. He's just beaten. Well, that's silly. We look at that and say, well, that's ridiculous, but that's using fear to manipulate people. You want people to like you. You want to be successful in your crowd. Well, you need to buy this beer. So you look at it intellectually and you think, what could be more stupid than that? Who would fall for that? Bring the right beer and everybody will like you. That's just so dumb. But people don't process that from their intellects. They process that at their feeling level. And they look at just the feel of it. And without knowing why they do it, they're more likely to go pick up that beer that the winners drink. They'll just more likely do that. And the psychologists show us that, and they make a science of it. So we know how to manipulate people. It's called propaganda when it's political, but it's basically all the same thing. We just have a lot of people who have found that they can be powerful, and with power often comes money. A lot of times the people making outrageous claims don't even believe the outrageous claims they make. They're just trying to make a little money, get a little of attention, be a big wheel. And fear is the common way for doing that. It's so that's what we're seeing, downside of the information age, and people trying to get attention, people trying to be important. That's really where you're looking at all this dysfunction. There's a whole lot of people who are abusing the internet because they can, and there's a whole lot of other people that easily get sucked into it because they are fearful. Our whole, our quality of consciousness of humanity in general isn't all that high. Most people are very fearful. They have a lot of fears. And a lot of those fears can be made less scary if we can find someone to blame for them. Most people are looking for somebody else to blame their problems on, because that takes the finger of culpability away from out there to, away from in here to out there. So people like that. So if you can go out and scare people and then point a finger so that what makes them feel bad is somebody else's fault, well, you're going to get a big audience. A lot of people are going to be attracted to that and pay attention to it. So that's the problem. Low quality of consciousness, lots of ego, lots of fear, lots of beliefs. You believe things that make you feel better. Well, it makes me feel better that it's not my problem, that it's somebody else's doing it to me. It's just the nature of the quality of consciousness and the fact that we've moved into an information age that allows this kind of access. And those two of those come together, and what you get is this mess, that you're looking at.